Hey y'all, welcome to the Cat's Meow. Today is going to be teachable moments. I would call it story time, but that's so used and well worn. So, we're just gonna call this teachable moments, and the following story times will be labeled as teachable moments because if you go through something and you never learn anything from it, then it was a waste of time. So, let's get into it. I had a situation at work about 3 weeks ago, maybe. It wasn't really a situation, but just an event or a moment. One of my coworkers, who happens to be Caucasian, we were talking and we were just talking about hair and stuff. And I was asking her, how often do you have to wash your hair? Because I know some people have more oily scalps, and you know, I heard some people have to wash theirs every day. So we were talking about that, and then she asked me about my hair, and she said that she liked it, and she wished she could have saw me with my fro. And then she was like, I thought dreads were something totally different, and so I googled dreadlocks, and went to images, and everything that came up was like freeformers or just locks that looked unkept. And so she was like, yeah, I thought that's what they look like. But then when I typed in locks in Google, the images came up and they were the more manicured locks. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. I never knew that. She was just really taking in the information. And another one of my coworkers who was across the room came over when she heard us talking about it. And I was letting them know about the federal ruling that people can discriminate against people with locks, or more so, employers can discriminate against applicants with locks. And so my other coworker B, is what we're gonna call her. She walked up and wanted to see what dreads look like. And I was like, yeah, people think that dreads are nasty and that they're unclean. And I pulled up dreadlocks in Google again. And she was like, yeah, those are dreads. And then I pulled up the other pictures, and she was like, no, those aren't dreads. And I was like, well, yeah, they are. Those are locks, dreadlocks, whatever you want to call them. Like, those are dreadlocks. And she was like, no, I'd call them braids or something else. And just basically everything that I just said to her, she was affirming it. Like, she was dismissing what I was telling her. She was like, no, those can't be dreads because you can't wash your hair, and that's really nasty, and blah blah blah. And I was just telling her, I was like, you have to wash your hair when you have dreads. Even if you freeform, you have to wash your hair because that's disgusting. So yeah, it is disgusting not to wash your hair, but people with locks wash their hair. So yeah, but basically she was just not listening, not wanting to hear it, didn't want to consider the more manicured ones to be dreadlocks and whatnot. And I got really frustrated, and I tried to make a video, or I did make a video, but it just wasn't meant to come up because my nose was running, and just I sounded stopped up, and I was talking like this on the video, and oh child, it was a mess. And I was upset. And it's not good to talk about things when you're frustrated or upset. You need to cool down, because sometimes you could say or just think things that you don't need to, you know, say or think. Or you wouldn't do that with a cooler head. So now that I have a cooler head, that's what happened. And what I took from that was there are going to be some people that receive the wisdom or knowledge that you give them, and they genuinely want to know. And that can shut down a stereotype right there. And then there are going to be other people who just refute what you're saying. They don't want to know. And by the way, coworker B is Caucasian as well. And so it was really funny that you don't know anything about, African American hair, or dreads, but you want to tell me what they are and what those people do to their hair or don't do. It was just very frustrating, but I was happy that coworker A took in the information. She learned something. I learned something from her. As far as like how many days she can go without washing and why, and washing her hair, not her body, y'all. Get right. Without washing her hair, and like dry shampoos and what they do for her. And I've heard some other people talk about it, and even some black people talk about dry shampoo, but I just never known anybody personally to use it, I don't believe. So yeah, I guess that's something just for us to keep in mind as people with locks, or like me with starter locks or developing them, just knowing how to share knowledge with people or educate people and be able to accept when people refute the facts. And that's just in life too, You just have to learn how to deal with those who don't want to hear what you have to say, even when you lay everything out in front of them in black and white. And then have joy in the people who do want to learn, who don't want to hold on to stereotypes, who don't think they know it all when they know nothing about the situation. And I need to say, coworker B and I are cool. We have a good relationship at work, and I think that's why I hurt the most. It was a little disappointing because I thought she was more open-minded than that. But we all have to grow. We all have different things we need to grow in, different areas. So I'm not mad. I actually forwarded her a video. I emailed one. I forgot who I was watching, but it was 8 stereotypes or 10 stereotypes about people with dreadlocks. And I want to say it was this girl or this woman. She just graduated with her master's in social work. I can't remember. I'll find a link and post it in the video. But I was watching hers and I was like, you know what? She's sharing the information. She's not being insulting to other races. She's not being, just rude or just unwelcoming. She was just sharing information in a polite manner. And I was like, this could be helpful to coworker B, because maybe she couldn't hear it from me. Maybe if she sees it from another person, and even if she didn't want to watch it, that's fine. But I at least tried to break the ground to end the stereotype and give her a little bit more knowledge. So that's that.